And do we have the capability, Minister, to shoot down one of these missiles if this were to occur? We wouldn't be able to shoot a missile like this down, would we?
Well, it's important not to go into too many hypotheticals, PK. That's not what are responsible. I don't think this was conducive to China's standing in the region, and I think it was a provocative action.
Later.
最近，中国向太平洋试射洲际导弹的事，余波还在持续发酵。你可能觉得这只是一次常规的秀肌肉，但你可能不知道的是，这枚导弹在南太平洋激起的水花，直接把大洋彼岸的澳大利亚政客们给整应激了。就在这周，澳洲 ABC 新闻的主持人直接在节目上逼问他们的国防部长帕特康罗伊，主持人就盯着一个问题死磕。如果真有那么一天，中国的导弹飞过来，我们骄傲的澳大利亚到底能不能拦得住？结果你猜怎么着？这位部长支支吾吾，硬是把一场极其严肃的新闻访谈演成了大型太极拳现场。要不说他能当国防部长呢？到底有多尴尬？我们来看影片。
Pat Conroy, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, PK.
Has China shown that it is both capable of reaching the Australian mainland or any Pacific nation now through its nuclear test this week?
Well, China possesses very long-range missiles capability, both conventionally armed and nuclear armed. There's no disagreement there. What we're seeing in the region is the biggest arms race, the biggest build-up of military since 1945, and concerningly, that is occurring without any transparency or strategic reassurance. So that is the context that we face, and that's why the Australian government is pursuing diplomacy as our first course, but also providing the biggest increase in our defence funding in peacetime ever. We need to do both, invest in our defence and invest in our diplomacy.
So what's the nightmare scenario that you see unfolding in the Pacific?
Well, a nightmare scenario is obviously conflict in our region. We have to be careful about not getting into hypotheticals, but I highlighted when I represented Australia at the NATO summit this week that a conflict in the Indo-Pacific would be catastrophic for the globe, not just our region, and we must do all we can to prevent that. That's both through diplomatic means and through deterrence by investing in the Australian Defence Force.
And do we have the capability, Minister, to shoot down one of these missiles if this were to occur?
We're investing record amounts in missile defence. Let me give you a couple of examples. We brought forward by 4 years the introduction into service of the Standard Missile 6. This is a critical air defence missile for our Navy. We brought it forward 4 years compared to the plans of the previous government. We're investing $30 billion in missile defence through our National Defence Strategy we released this year, including increasing by 400% our investment in active missile defence. Think interceptors, things to shoot down missiles.
If a scenario like this, a nightmare scenario which you countenanced, were to unfold in the Pacific in the next few years, we wouldn't be able to shoot a missile like this down, would we?
Well, it's important not to go into too many hypotheticals, PK. That's not what a responsible
but you did
minister
raise
does.
it in your speech this week.
But let me talk about our capabilities, for example. So we have SM-6 missiles on our air warfare destroyers. We're upgrading the combat system, the Aegis combat system, so that they can provide even more advanced missile defence for Australia. We've introduced into service the NASAMS missile defence system that's equipping the Army right now. We've got a range of other capabilities to intercept missiles, but we need to do more, and that's why we're investing $30 billion in it, including a 400% increase in our active missile defence investment, including introducing medium-range ground-based air defence systems. So,
but we are vulnerable right now. I know you're saying these investments are being made right now where China is flexing its muscle and demonstrating what it could do. Obviously, this was a test, a dummy, but could do. If this were to happen, we're completely vulnerable.
Well, PK, we've got a range of capabilities in service right now. think the Standard Missile 6 is one example. We've got other systems in place and we're doing more. The critical thing is you can't stand still. This is a race where we need to make sure that the Australian Defence Force has the best possible equipment, and that's why we're providing the biggest peacetime increase in defence funding ever. We're getting on with doing it, but we've got good capabilities now that we are improving right now as well.
You represented Australia, you just referenced this, at the NATO conference, and you spoke behind closed doors to your fellow ministers, defence ministers. You said even a limited conflict over Taiwan or significant disruption to trade and supply chains would damage Euro-Atlantic interests and have far-reaching global consequences. Are we prepared for a conflict over Taiwan?
Well, again, we're prepared for a conflict in our region. Everyone is working very hard to avoid it. My main message to NATO is that the conflicts are no longer local, they're global. We're seeing that right now. We're feeling the impact of the conflict in Ukraine, and my message to NATO was a conflict in the Pacific would have a similar impact on Europe, and the future of NATO and the Indo-Pacific Four, which is South Korea, Japan, Australia and New Zealand, are inseparable, and we need to work together.
And did that risk of that kind of conflict, did that go up a notch this week through this demonstration of their reach and power, the Chinese?
Well, it certainly was a provocative action and it destabilised our region, and it's something that we have expressed our concern and to the Chinese government. So again, the impact of it in terms of the stability of the region,
that's and is there any consequence, Minister, I ask politely, to us raising concerns? What response has the Australian government got? Do you have any assurances that we'll be given more warning next time, for instance?
Well, again, I'm not going to get into detailing confidential discussions between governments. We don't engage in megaphone diplomacy.
But has it
we've
happened?
Expressed our concern. We've expressed our concern to the Chinese government at a number of levels, and we'll keep doing that. I think importantly, it has hurt China's standing in our region. You just have to look at the response from Pacific nations, from the Prime Minister of the Solomon Islands saying that it's not an act of a friend, to comments from the Fiji and the Papua New Guinea government, the President of Palau, the Prime Minister of Tuvalu. I don't think this was conducive to China's standing in the region, and I think it was a provocative action.
Later.
看完这段采访，不知道大家是不是跟我一样，隔着屏幕都替这位澳洲部长捏了把汗。面对主持人的连环追问，他支支吾吾绕了半天，硬是搬出标准6防空导弹来给自己壮胆。其实稍微懂点军事的朋友听到这，估计都得乐了。你想啊，标准6这东西，平时主要是用来打飞机，拦一拦普通的短程导弹的。你现在非要说它能拦住咱们那种末端速度快得连雷达都快抓不住的大国重器，别逗你中国网友笑了。其实这位部长在电视上流的冷汗，恰恰暴露出某些西方政客现在一种特别拧巴的心态。你回想一下这2年的新闻，无论是美英澳3家非要搞的那个奥库斯核潜艇联盟，还是美国硬把中程导弹架到了菲律宾，到底是谁天天在咱们家门口搞事情？他们总以为搞几个小圈子，买点防御系统，就能在太平洋上继续当老大。结果咱们这边平时不怎么吱声，真到了关键时刻，一枚划破长空的战略导弹，直接把他们从拉帮结派的美梦里给砸醒了。更魔幻的是什么？你看澳大利亚，一边拿着纳税人几百亿的真金白银去买那些根本防不住战略导弹的系统，给带头大哥交保护费，可另一边呢，他们装满铁矿石、红酒和龙虾的巨轮，天天都在往咱们中国的港口跑，一边靠着咱们这个庞大的市场赚得盆满钵满，一边放下筷子就在电视上满头大汗地渲染中国威胁。天下哪有这么精神分裂的事儿？我们老百姓心里其实都跟明镜似的，中国造大国重器，不是为了跑去太平洋上当霸主，更不是为了主动去吓唬谁。我们踏踏实实搞发展，只是为了能在这个并不太平的世界里安安稳稳地做自己的小生意，但现实偏偏就是这么骨感。只有当你的底牌真正亮出来，拥有了降维打击的绝对实力时，某些人才会老老实实地收起傲慢，跟你平心静气地讲道理。要我说的话， 与其在电视机前满头大汗的强行挽尊，不如好好去想想，当那道真理的弧线在太平洋上空划过的时候，他们到底该用什么样的姿态来平视一个真正不可撼动的中国。